year over year, we're at 100% growth right now. Yeah, the numbers don't lie. We've had 3 of our best months ever in the last 6 months. I had a $120,000 goal. We did 147. I've got a pretty good bullshit meter. The minute I'm being sold to, I shut down. What I was getting from you was authenticity. The top line is great, but bottom line is just as important.
Awesome. I'm here with Emily, part of Kastel Denmark. Very excited to connect with you, Emily, and talk about your experience working with us over the last, I think it's been about 7 months now, which is absolutely insane. If you could just quickly, introduce yourself, your role at Kastel Denmark, and then maybe go into a little bit more detail about what Kastel Denmark it actually is and what the products you guys sell are.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Emily Otis. I am the president of Kastel Denmark. We are a women's UPF, so sun protective clothing brand, founded for the equestrian market and expanding into golf and general sport. I've been with the company for 2 years, really trying to bring us to the next level. And we started working with TVG, in February.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And I remember, if we could take us back to those initial conversations, I feel like I started talking to you. It had to be during that holiday season, or maybe December, kind of beginning of the year, when, you guys had some solid momentum heading into 2026. But what led you to ultimately looking for a team like us? Bring me back to that time, what you guys were looking for.
Great question. Well, we were working with a different agency, and they really wanted to focus on only doing promotions. And we didn't feel like we were getting in front of the right customers. And, we were seeing singular conversions, at $1,200 at full price product. And we were like, we want to find those customers. And I think I found you guys just on Instagram.
Yeah, probably.
And I opened up the conversation. You were not the only people that we were talking with, exploring new agencies, and the motivation to get the product in front of the right people with the right cost, out of my pocket, and your motivation to keep the business profitable was really sort of what solidified, our trust before we even were able to see any of the results. Because there's a lot of agencies out there that just want you to spend a ton, and they'll put a bunch of ads out there, and there will be a return. But it's always just about spending more and getting a percentage of the spend as their kickback, and that didn't really seem to make any sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might have seen our kind of services even evolve throughout the year, but that's been a big shift that we've had to really transition to, is really dig into the weeds of what profitability is for a brand. So historically a few years ago, we'd be living in the ad manager, the Klaviyo accounts, and not have that complete visibility on everything. And kind of what we saw with our best performing brands is they had that really strong financial discipline internally. And when we kind of have more visibility onto that and try to figure out, when to push harder, when to pull back, when to go more on offense, and know our financial guardrails, that's really been our focus. And, hopefully you've kind of seen that evolve over the last few months as we rolled out, different things. But, what challenges, you spoke a little bit about this. So you're working with an agency. I guess one of the challenges might be, you're kind of reliant on discounts, but I'd like to hear more about what were those challenges? What were those frustrations that you were experiencing last year?
A lot of it was just converting customers on discount, not planning forward on new launches. In women's apparel, you have a certain amount of time, especially when ours where things are very novel. So it's not like there's a lot of core black solids that are just getting ordered over and over and over again. We do have those as well, but a lot of them are prints that launch at a certain time, go with a certain amount of other product, and you have X amount of time to make money on that product before before, it just becomes a little bit stale. You start to run out of sizes. There aren't outfits to be made. It doesn't go with anything else in inventory. So we were wanting to make sure that we took the longest amount of time with the product being, new and novel and exciting for the customers, and that we weren't just discounting things because it had been there for 3 months when we knew that it was still brand new and it was still going along with a lot of the other collections, and that the customers that were being drawn in were getting the full story, that they were hearing what the benefits of the product were, that it's sun protective, that, it can reduce your skin cancer exposure, that, you can wear it in this weather or that weather, it feels like this, it fits like this. And really having the story be told instead of just saying like, hey, here's a product. Sometimes it's $100 and right now it's 20. So we wanted to bring customers in and tell them why our product was desirable, instead of saying, hey, it's worth a fraction of what somebody, it's actually not valuable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's one thing I love about your brand. Obviously, like apparel and fashion it's a tough space to be in, but you spoke about there's a few things that you're kind of you have to maintain. Is like, one, it's like you're selling to an aspirational market. These are not like the cheapest clothes. We have to make sure we're speaking to those individuals. You obviously have your unique selling points with sun protection, but if anyone's watching this or seeing this and you want to check out their website, it also is like very aesthetic, very like good looking clothes, where you're kind of balancing the unique selling props of sun protection, but it's also very, very nice designs and everything like that. And so when it came to like, now you're facing those struggles or challenges, and you're looking at the future, like what were the main objectives that you guys had heading into 2026, before working with us?
Well, it's always more money. But again, it's more the introduction of the brand to women who we knew would benefit from having it in their wardrobes. The goal was, most of our demographic is the 35 to 55, active, dual income. Most of them do have children, but are in looking forward to putting themselves, first again, and really being able to enjoy their activities and stay healthy. And that's where, skin cancer is always, skin treatment, skin preservation is always something that women are being sold on, and it's usually creams or it's surgeries or injections, and this is a really simple way to integrate it into your daily life, and also be able to express yourself in your personal fashion. We do have quite a bit of prints, as I've mentioned before, and prints are a very personal endeavor, but we are an office full of women, some of whom participate in the activities that our founder started the clothing for, and many who don't, but we all choose to wear the clothing. And we wanted, other women to experience what we have with the clothing, where it's giving this inherent benefit, but it really just is a part of our wardrobe that feels good, looks good, lasts forever. I can't tell you how many people come up to us and they're like, oh, well, I have this from this year, and it's from like 8 years ago, and it still looks fabulous, and it wears really well. And I'm like, oh, we could buy some more, please. But we're really happy to just have a product that we're proud of. And so the motivation was just to get in front of the right audience, because we were started in a very niche market, which is, English horseback riding. It was started by a dressage rider. So it joined the dressage community, and then it broke into the eventing community. And then, there's a bit of hunter jumper, but all English, riding. And so it's been in that industry very strong, very early adopters, really, really a wonderful base customer. But outside of that industry, it hadn't really been in front of we call them the country club moms, the women who like to dress nice but be comfortable, and they don't want to wear something that's really masculine. They don't want to wear something that has the club logo all over it. They want to feel feminine, but they want to be active. And as soon as we do get in front of those ladies, they really adopt the clothing very quickly. The sweaters, the vests, the shirts can just be worn. I'm at the office today. I'm wearing our clothing to the office, but that was the big motivation, was just getting in front of these ladies organically when they're scrolling, when they're at the grocery store, and not just waiting until they go to their friend's daughter's equestrian event, and are waiting in the dirty arena and happen to see some clothing and they're like, what's that? So yeah, just growing into a more general space was something that was really important to us, while maintaining the integrity of the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I like about these conversations is, if there's people out there, watching this, and I like to kind of figure out like the nuggets that, led to your success so far. And I think, obviously, like we talked about the fashion apparel space, it's easy to try to, like, out of the gates, maybe try to sell to like absolutely everyone. And obviously that was one opportunity that we saw in our early conversations, was you kind of own that very niche market. And obviously if you can kind of carve out that niche, it's easy to kind of get that initial momentum. And then when you're thinking about that expansion and growing, like you're talking about, obviously you have to think about, okay, what are those, the country club moms or the golfers or whoever else that could, benefit from this product. But I think one mistake that, just working in the space, like someone from day one might try to just tackle like everything all at once. And it's tough to get that, initial traction, which I think you guys came to us having that traction. Now it was like expansion, like you talked about, which was awesome. And then, you obviously, I think you said you found us on Instagram. What stood out to us? Cause obviously you were exploring different agencies like many brands do. Like what stood out to you, or why did you ultimately make the decision to kind of take that leap of faith and jump into working with us?
That's a great question. And I've been doing so many things for the last 8 months that I don't remember. But I can tell you, I have been in, not, I hate saying sales, but I've been, in a position to be capturing revenue my entire career, or to be driving those things. And I have a pretty good, can I say bullshit?
Yeah. Please.
I've got a pretty good, bullshit meter. And the minute I'm being sold to, I shut down, because I don't need to be sold something that is going to solve it. I don't want to be sold something. I want something that's going to solve my problems, that's going to benefit me. And if something is going to benefit me, then you don't need to sell me.
Right.
If something is going to benefit me, then I know I know it's a good idea, or that, it's a worthy pursuit. So, I would imagine that what I was getting from you was authenticity, and I do believe that when the first hooks were about, not just paying more to get more revenue. It was thoughtful, analytical, and having a lot of it concentrated in emails, where I really thought we had a devoted audience, but I just wasn't sending out. I wasn't seeing our team sending out the types of emails that I was receiving as a consumer, and I wanted to change that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I love the BS detector. It's funny. I mean, actually, this is a question sometimes I ask, with female focused brands, like you said, I think you said, your whole office is all women? Is that right?
At the moment, yes. Much. It's not always, and it's not by design, but it just happens to be.
Yeah, 100%. And I like to ask this too, women focused brands, because obviously in our initial conversations, like you're just talking to me, obviously when you start work with us, we have Barbara, part of the team and stuff, but talking to a guy, and usually what I get from women focused brands, which totally makes sense, is no judgment, is like, okay, I'm talking to this dude, like, will they be able to actually like talk to my customers? So, and candidly, like, I even remember in maybe the first few months, like, I know this is something we were discussing internally, like, I don't know if there was like feedback where we weren't nailing the voice or whatever it was. Like I always
Hmm.
appreciate as much feedback as possible. But
Yeah.
how do you think we've done kind of going about kind of with a female focused brand? Obviously, we do have women a part of our team, but that's something that's always a point of contention, I guess, is like, hey, I'm talking to Patrick. Can you actually,
Yeah.
advertise to not only women, but potentially like older demographic women than I personally am. So if you can, speak to that, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Well, we come from a unique position where we're sort of acting like a startup, but we are a 12-year-old company.
Yeah.
So, and we have a very, very vivacious founder. So we have a super defined brand voice and brand perspective. And we also, have had an internal creative team that's sort of helped translate that over to your team. But the feedback has always been very well received, and you know, the team acts on that very quickly and very well. And Chris, also another woman on your team,
Hmm.
has been thoughtful and good about that. But what I have enjoyed the most is just being able to say, hey, like being able to point out things that have worked for us in the past and just
Yeah.
say, this is a North Star of terminology or font usage, or, how we shoot our models, what they look like. And, um, a lot of it is like we've gotten feedback from other agencies as well of like it needs to be very serious, it needs to be very somber, and we're like, we don't do that. That's not who
Yeah.
we are. It's about being outside. It's about um, enjoying life and not being limited by anything. So, having that really be defined before working with you guys
Yeah.
was definitely a leg up for us, because what we needed to do is say, hey, this is the lady that we want to talk to, but we don't know where to find her. So you guys go find her, and even recently we've had that experience too, where a lot of uh, a lot more of our performance media, or whatever, a lot more of our ads are working on Facebook rather than Google, which is not something that the team had expected. And I said, I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our lady is hanging out on Facebook, and that if that's where we're going to find her, then look at what you're seeing, look at the feedback, look at the click throughs, and
Mhm.
where the traffic is going, and turn the volume up there and turn it down somewhere else.
Yeah.
So um, the team has been really open and has absorbed all of our feedback on that. But we still control a lot of our creative, so
Right.
um, we're not really loosening the stronghold on
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's a
that.
good point. Yeah, obviously, like that is something that's huge. That obviously makes our job way easier when a brand comes
Hmm.
in with, strict brand guidelines. Already kind of identified kind of who they're targeting, and like at the end of the day, we want to make sure we have our different ways of doing things. But if a brand wants to test something, if you're like, we really want to stay with this tone of voice, like, great, let's lean on that. If there's ever an
Hmm.
opportunity or we want a recommendation, say, hey, maybe we can do this way, like we'll throw that recommendation. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like, especially in apparel and fashion, what you are doing specifically, like it's all about brand and maintaining that tone of voice.
Hmm.
So that's clearly something that is a strong suit for you all. Can you speak to kind of I guess the day to day of working with us in terms of, communication and collaboration with your internal team, or even tools that we use, and how that's impacted, your workflow or your team's workflow at all?
Sure. Yeah. It took me a second to get used, well, actually to get access to Slack on my phone, and then I got a new computer and all that stuff. So like I'm usually the bottleneck with anything, and if it's not like immediately easy to do, I usually somebody else is already asking me another question, so
Yeah.
I've moved on. But what getting used to the quick comms in Slack, and then the team has been, what I love about what the team does there is that as long as it's in Slack, there's a link to whatever it is that I need to approve. It's not just like a, hey, go dig through your email. Like
Yeah.
it takes me no time at all, as long as I can, you know, as long as I have internet access, to be able to go in, review, and where we are right now with all, again, with our branding, with the feedback, and with my internal team and resources. Um, Most of the time, if there's like specific artwork or editorials or hero images that we're wanting to use, we've hand delivered those to you guys. You make a beautiful layout. As long as we've met about the plan for it, it's a very quick approval process, and that's been really great.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Glad to hear that. Yeah, some people, when I talk about Slack, some people are very anti Slack people. I don't remember if you were like
Yeah,
I don't know if you were at the beginning or
I'm
whatever,
not.
but
No,
I
I,
totally
it's
get it. But
yeah,
I'm glad it's worked out and it's been easy to
yeah.
use. But yeah, no, I appreciate that feedback. And when it comes to the work that we've done together, obviously kind of like uh, typically, with your brand, we're looking at the ads management, the email. Like, can you speak to that work and what impact that's had on the business this year?
Can you sort of clarify? I'm not sure what
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking about besides everything.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, like you
Yeah.
alluded to like the email was an opportunity potentially, but if you could just speak to like
Hmm.
certain aspects of our service, what has that done? Running the ads, emails.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to lead you in any direction, just kind of the
Oh
actual
yeah,
work that we're doing for you.
there's not much to say besides year over year we're at 100% growth right now.
Mhm.
So that speaks to it there.
Numbers don't lie. Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
numbers don't lie. So we're going to keep that going for the rest of the year, and perhaps, I mean, if it's more than that, that's just fine by me. But yeah, this what it's reiterated for us, as a brand, is we've had a viable product, and we just needed to be pulling the right. We have a viable story, we have a viable product, we have really relatable founder and ambassadors and people who really subscribe to the clothing. We just needed to be making people aware of it.
Yeah.
So, we're now in a position where there's a few other things happening, with wholesalers
Hmm.
and opportunities there that we really feel like we're in a good position to support that, the new customer base that we're sort of expecting to be growing over the next 6 months.
Uh,
Um, and again, what we had a wonderful year with our direct to consumer business last year. But again, we kept having these experiences where women were being introduced to the brand, and it was, they hadn't seen anything like it, and they were just really loving everything. So, um, being able to get in front of like-minded consumers, I don't see how there's not, a way. We'll sidebar and strategy on this later and budget, but I would love to accelerate our growth for the rest of the year,
oh
because
yeah.
I came to you with a huge number for our direct to consumer targets, and I think that there's still a way we can get that. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. And obviously, 100% growth over year. You want to do more, which I love. What would you say, like, what any like specific like results or wins, like maybe like I don't know, like could be like a early milestone, or maybe speak to like any big unlocks for you guys. You kind of alluded to some things, but I don't want to put any words in your mouth of like when this was achieved, like we were really happy about that. Obviously, generally 100% growth is great. I think this month you're
yeah,
facing like one of your best months ever, but anything else,
yeah.
beyond that?
Well, we've had three of our best months ever in the last 6 months,
There you
so
go.
we keep beating them. And yeah, we had. I mean, just to put real numbers on there, we had a sale, and I had $120,000 goal. I thought we were going to make it 100, no matter what, and we did 140,
Hmm.
147.
Yep.
So that works.
There we go. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I like to ask too, like, I guess like even for okay, you've got some traction. You guys obviously have a great product line. We work together. You're saying you want to go bigger. You want to grow faster. Like, what do you think as a leader at this company? Like, what is the future of Kastel Denmark? Like, what's the big goals?
Yeah. I mean, we want to be a household name. And, we do what we do very well, and it's been managed by an incredible team, and it's just it's reached a place now where we know how people respond to it when it gets in front of them. So
Mhm.
we want to take every opportunity to be in front of them and to be known and to just keep doing what we know how to do.
Yeah.
Um, and stay true to our values, stay true to our value prop, because it's resonating, and we all already subscribe to it. So
Yeah.
it's been very organic. Well, there's been a lot of elbow grease, but the response and the feedback is always organic. And that's
Yeah.
sort of what, there's been moments where it's like, oh, we've got to do, so and so does this, so we've got to do a jacket like that, or so and so does this, we've got
Mm.
to do these pants. And as a team, what we've really found to be part of this success and part of what resonates with the customers is, you know if we do that, we have to do it the Kastel way, or that product isn't Kastel, or that
Yeah.
customer isn't Kastel. So let's let that brand do that thing. The customer has enough product available to them from all of these different brands. We just need to be us. We don't need to be anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's been working so far. So we're not going to count any chickens, but we're hoping to be in a number of physical
Hmm.
neighborhoods, not as a Castell branded store or anything. We're not opening our own brick and mortar yet.
Maybe someday.
Um,
Yeah.
maybe someday, but yeah, we're on a pretty good track right now, and we just continue to be getting this positive feedback.
Yeah.
So the growth is about availability. It's not necessarily about taking over every single category of apparel and accessories and whatever else.
Yeah.
But yeah, just continuing to do what we do and just make it available everywhere.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. And my last question is just around, what would you say to someone was kind of in your shoes, considering, working with an agency, you're kind of going through this discovery process. What would you tell them, if they're considering working with us?
Well, I'll just reiterate, a few of the things that I've already said, which is again, like stick with what you do well, let other people do what they do well. And I'm always a path of least resistance. I know how marketing works on me. I don't know how to turn any of those knobs or buttons. So I want somebody who's an expert to be doing that. But at the same time, we're giving you our voice, and that's super important as well, which
Yeah.
is like there's always recommendations, and I'm always open to trying anything too and seeing what the results are. But whenever you're working with an agency, it's got to be staying true to the brand's voice, carrying that through, and yeah, the top line is great, but bottom line is just as important, because nothing fuels top line if there is no bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I
and
love
you
that.
guys definitely, well, you've proven that you know how to do that, but that was the selling point of not being sold on, was attention to that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. No, I
Because
appreciate that.
yeah, I mean, it's just a fact of the matter of running a business, of like, top line can grow, and you can have a positive ROAS, but if it's not high enough, and if the spend is high enough, then there isn't enough profit to buy more inventory, to ship the orders out, to have
Yeah.
staff, to do anything. So
Yeah.
that was very, very important, that was a number one
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, e-commerce in general, it's just a crazy
Hmm.
cash flow financial beast to manage. And so I'm glad to hear that, with still growing and, still focusing on top line, that you've seen that bottom line has been a focus working together. So I really appreciate you jumping on. If anyone wants
Hmm.
to check out Kastel Denmark, definitely do so. They create amazing products. And
Hmm.
when you buy, make sure to click on one of our ads or emails. Make sure the
Yeah.
results look good. But no, Emily, I really appreciate your time today. And it's been a pleasure working with you.